Hi there everyone. You might have noticed that some of the first real gameplay videos of the upcoming Dark Souls Remastered have been surfacing. In this video I will be sharing some of my thoughts about what I've seen in these gameplay videos, but unfortunately I don't have footage of my own, so I'll have to demonstrate things with screenshots from other videos. All the links to the videos I took these screenshots from can be found in the video description, so you can have a closer look at these videos yourself. Before I go into it, I want to clarify that I own Dark Souls on PC and have been able to experience this game in higher resolutions and faster frame rate for years now. So if some of my opinions sound a bit harsh, it's because I'm not as easily impressed by these aspects as perhaps someone who has last played the PS3 version would be. Dark Souls is my favorite game of all time, and that's why I might be overly critical about some things here. The first one of these videos I watched was the one from VaatiVidya, where he does cover different graphical changes pretty well. For example, he talks about how the new lighting creates better reflections and how some of the foliage is now animated, which all honestly sounds great, but while I was watching his video I couldn't help but think to myself, this doesn't look right. So I screen captured a moment in Vaati's video where there was as little movement as possible, so that the YouTube's bitrate limitations would have as small effect on the image quality as possible. Then I jumped on the PC version to take a screen capture of the same spot. When comparing these two screenshots, the PS4 Pro version of the game looks oddly flat both in its lighting and colors. After I tweeted this out, some people pointed out that the ambient occlusion was rather heavy-handed in my screenshot, and that it was YouTube quality versus in-game quality, so it might be a misleading comparison. Some brought up that Vaati's in-game brightness might have been higher than what my default brightness was. These are all valid points to bring up. I do have the DS fix installed, so that might have affected the comparison. However, even in the comparisons that Vaati made himself in his video, the original version looked better to me. This is why I wanted to see if it was just my version having such a big difference on the PS4 Pro version. So next I watched a video from PlayStation Access that was uploaded in 4K quality that actually actively compared the PS3 version of the game and the PS4 Pro version side to side. In the video, Nathan Dighton and David Jackson talk about how the lighting and the colors look better, but I still think it looks off. While the original PS3 version looks bleak and dark, which is fitting to the game we're talking about here, the PS4 Pro version looks more colorful, but somehow the colors also manage to look flatter. Usually I praise games for bold use of color, but this is Dark Souls. The atmosphere the bleak visuals create is an essential part of its visual charm. Probably the biggest thing that sticks out for me in a negative way is how the player character doesn't seem to cast shadow on themselves properly. Making the character pop off weirdly that wasn't the problem in PS3 version. This makes especially the armor on characters look like plastic. It doesn't look as dark anymore, even the guys in the PlayStation Access video mentioned that it looks brighter. Some other examples of the colors looking off can be seen in the different effects like Estus animation and blood gushing out of enemies on hit, the water area next to Firelink Shrine, and in the look of souls that were for some reason colored blue now. This is a weird decision which was probably made so that soul items would pop out from the environment more, so they are easier for players to see. But I think those just look worse. This is probably something my eyes will get used to rather fast, however. I was also a bit surprised that they decided to keep the original visuals of the health and stamina meter, which in my opinion are some of the worst ones I've ever seen, ever, and sticked out like a sore thumb in the original game that was otherwise so beautiful in its art direction. The added motion blur in PS4 Pro version also looked bad, but there might be a setting to turn this off and should be easily fixed on PC at least. The new death animations do look dope, the new reflections look nice as well, and the fog gates look much better too. The ability to freely scale your HUD size was also a very welcome addition, even if you already had it on PC. All in all, I wouldn't say Dark Souls Remastered looks bad, but to me it doesn't look better than what I already have on PC. Even the original PS3 version looks more atmospheric to me, and that's a bit of a problem if they're asking me to pay for it again. Say what you may about Bethesda releasing Skyrim a million times, but they actually gave the Skyrim Special Edition PC version for free to those players who own the game already. Somehow I don't see this happening with Dark Souls Remastered. And so far, it seems to come with less visual changes than what the Skyrim Special Edition added to the original. At this point I'm at least expecting a heavy discount for those that own the original one on PC. Since these are videos and I've not been staring at the final game before me, I cannot be certain about everything. In some videos the game did look better than in others, and the motion blur in the PS4 version can clash horribly with the YouTube's bitrate limitations. There's definitely incentive for console owners to get this game, since there are enough visual improvements here for that crowd, especially if you own Nintendo Switch. The idea of portable Dark Souls is thrilling. I would like to see some areas like Anor Londo, Blighttown, Darkroot Garden or Crystal Caves to see how the new lighting works a bit more, because some of the official screenshots actually looked really nice in comparison to what we saw in the videos. But I guess we'll still have to wait for a bit. There has also been some confirmed gameplay changes I'll list here real fast. Some of them we already knew about and some of them are new. This list comes from IGN. The maximum number of players online has increased from 4 to 6. Just like in Dark Souls 2 Scholar of the First Sin and Dark Souls 3. The dried finger item will be needed to play with 6 players. The dried finger has been moved from Painted World of Ariamis level to the Underberg Merchant to be obtainable earlier in the game. The dried finger location in the Painted World has been replaced with Twin Humanities item. This is a nice change. I always felt it took a bit too long to obtain dried finger, especially after multiple playthroughs. Password matchmaking is now available, similar to Dark Souls 3. When a player is summoned in password matchmaking, the player's level will be synced. Dark Souls Remastered seems to adapt most of its online functionality to be more similar to Dark Souls 3. I don't mind this, but I bet some won't be too happy about it. Healing items will not be available during PvP with the exception of Estus Flasks. To prevent long and drawn out battles, the number of Estus Flasks is halved for Phantoms. When a player defeats an invading Phantom, their Estus Flask is restored. This is something people have reacted to pretty negatively, but I don't see a major problem here if Red Phantoms are allowed to use Estus too. Only problem arises with fight clubs if you have a long streak, forcing more resummons, but even then you can heal between fights, and if it does work similarly to Dark Souls 3, then you get Estus for every kill, so the problem becomes a really minor one. This does however make invasions to have lesser reward since the power of humanity is weakened. I hope Divine Blessings and Mushrooms are disabled online as well. Players can turn on or off global matchmaking. I hope it's a bit more strict when turned off than just Japan or not Japan like it was before. Players can no longer summon ally phantoms consecutively when in combat with enemy phantoms. A little nerf for ganking. I wonder if spawn ganking is still possible, or will there be more randomized spawning spots for red phantoms. Players can now prevent matched red phantoms from seeing their white sign soapstone. I don't understand what is the use for this exactly. Can someone clarify this to me a little bit? Players can select a number of usable items such as consumable souls or covenant items to use instead of at one at a time, as in the original game. Thank goodness, one of the best fixes. A bonfire has been added next to Wamos the blacksmith. Again, not everyone likes this, but for me it makes sense. Catacombs always felt like a bit of a stretch, and I cannot remember visiting Wamos more than few times, so maybe he becomes at least a bit more important character now. What I would really hope for is for them to fix his god-awful voice filter. Covenants can be switched at bonfires. A small step in the more casualized covenant system, but to be completely honest, I don't mind this. I'm more interested about the covenant functionality in the game. Button configuration is available. Good. Items will not automatically be registered into an item slot when picked up. This will probably help new players so that they have to be accustomed to the inventory menus earlier. The online network has been changed from peer-to-peer to dedicated servers. We already knew about this one as well. When the up or down directional bat button is held down, the first item equipped will be selected. This is also a feature from Dark Souls 3. For most people it just means faster access to Estus. And some arena changes are 3v3 and 6-player deathmatch have been added. Arena battles can also use password matchmaking. Respawn points will be random. All the arena changes seem fine to me, even if the arena still has some problems with the healing miracles in 1v1. And that's it. Once again, the videos I talked about can be found in the video description, so go have a look if you're interested. What are your thoughts about the remaster so far? Do you see enough incentive here to buy this game again when it releases in May? Thank you for watching, and take care.